just run for exercise and to clear my head. And it was 2009, and I was living in San Diego, California, and some friends of mine kind of dared me to run a half marathon. They were like, oh, if you can run 6, you can run 13, and I thought they were nuts. And it was for a different nonprofit, and I really liked the idea of running for a cause and joining a training group, because I'd never run with a group of other runners, and it was such a fun experience. I ran my first half marathon with them, and then I thought, well, I wonder if I could do that a little faster. And I slowly got bit by this run bug, and before I knew it, I ran 3 half marathons my first year. The following year, I ran another 3, including the New York City half, which I got in through the lottery. Then I moved out to North Carolina, ran another 2 there, and moved to Colorado the year after that. Decided I would try a marathon, and so I registered for the Portland Marathon since I hadn't been to Portland before, and swore I'd never do another one. And those are famous last words. So now I've run 10 half marathons and 2 marathons, running Boston this past Monday.
Boston.
I was a sophomore at Indiana University, and I wasn't a runner yet, but I had joined the intramural crew team for a little bit. And so I came home from practice and was showering and noticed I couldn't feel the water hitting my arm, which was a really strange sensation. And within a day, if someone drew a line down my body, like my entire left side fell asleep, but my right scalp was asleep. So I went to a back and neck specialist, and that's when he determined it was probably neurological. And within a week, I lost control of a lot of elements of my body and my vision, and had all the testing done to find out that I had MS. When I was initially diagnosed with MS, it was scary. And you read about what MS is, and you immediately think the worst of how I fell asleep. Someone drew a line down my body, so I went to a back and neck specialist, but my right scalp was neurological, and so he determined it was probably I lost control of a lot of elements within a week, and had all the testing done to find out that I had MS. When I was initially diagnosed with MS, my body and my vision, and you read about what MS is, and it was scary. You immediately think the worst of how I fell asleep. Someone drew a line down my body, neck specialist, and that sleep, so I went to a back, but my right scalp was neurological, and so he determined it was probably I lost control of a lot of elements within a week, and had all of other runners, and it had MS. Testing done to find out that I diagnosed with MS, my body and my vision, and you read about what MS is, and when I was initially, it was scary. You immediately think the worst of how someone drew a line down my body, neck specialist, and that side fell asleep, so I went to a back, but my right scalp was neurological, and I lost control of a lot of elements within a week. So he determined it was probably and had all of other runners, and it was testing done to find out that I had MS. Diagnosed with MS, my body and my vision, what MS is, and you read about, it was scary. You immediately think, when I was initially, someone drew a line down my body, neck specialist, and that side fell asleep, so I went to a back, but my right scalp was neurological, and control of a lot of elements within a week. I lost control when he determined it was probably I just have a lot of fun with the fact that I'm never truly alone. I always have this little sidekick, and you can get really creative with it. And when you're running, you always have your shadow with you, unless it's a really cold and gray day, So I have a little fun with my shadow. Boston was euphoric and a dream, and I still kind of can't believe that now I can just say I am a Boston Marathon runner. Boston came to me, though, on April 15th, 2013. I was watching the news, and I saw what happened, and when those bombs went off, something just viscerally spoke to me that it wasn't about MS, and it wasn't about me, it was about Boston. I wanted to run for Boston. I was born in Boston. A lot of my family's still there. I had friends running in that race, and so I came up with this feeling to run for Boston, though I'm not fast. So I thought, how am I actually going to run for Boston? And I met a guy in Fort Collins Phil Yastro, who let me know that I could actually run with a team for MS because he had done it. And I thought this was, this had my name written all over it. So I reached out to the organization and I applied with them. And they select 45 people throughout the country. And I was very fortunate to be one selected. So I got to not only run for Boston, but run for MS and run for those that can't, which is just the ultimate for me. For me, I think my first message is to remember that every day is a choice. And running doesn't come naturally to me. It's not like I get up and this is easy. It's hard, but life is hard. And so getting up every day and just deciding you're going to do the best that you can for yourself that day, and being appreciative of the fact that you can move, even if it's something as little as going for a walk, because with MS it can be challenging, but if you tell yourself you can't do it, then you're already setting yourself up to not do it. So you have to give yourself credit for the little bits that you can, and then one day 1 mile turns into 2 miles, and then one day 2 miles turns into 6 miles, and before you know it, you're running a half, and then you never in your wildest dreams thought you'd ever run a marathon, and before you know it, you've run Boston, which is my story with it. And so maybe my story can help somebody else that feels limited with MS or with another illness to see that they have the potential to do more than they think they can, that the mind can be evil as well as powerful. So we have to remember that, we can't allow ourselves to be set back because we're in fear of what an illness could have for us. So I just hope that, especially young, there's a lot more people out there being newly diagnosed at much younger ages than there was in the past. And I want to be a role model for those individuals to see that I'm 17 years into this diagnosis and I am still young and I'm living with it as opposed to living having a harder life with it. Right now on the books, I have the New York Marathon. So I was actually selected via the lottery, but I really enjoyed running with a team so much that I reached out to the MS Society in New York and I asked them if I could run with their team. So instead of raising I'm still shivering. Instead of raising the $4,000 for my entry, I need to raise $1,000. But the best part about it is my brother, who isn't a runner. He's 35 years old, never run a half marathon. I mean, he's a hockey player, but he got so inspired watching me at Boston and my teammates that he decided to apply to run the New York City Marathon for his first run ever.
Oh, wow.
And he's raising $4,000 and he's going to run with me. So I'm really super excited. My family is excited. So I'm sure I'll run between now and then, but that's the next on the list.